Welcome back. It is the middle of October and we're still doing this thing. Pages Promotions Virtual Book Festival Autumn 2020. We are a production of Indie Reads TV and we find our home on CNM TV in Troy, Michigan. Today, we're in for a really special treat. Something a little new, something a little different. Not your average author here today. This is Angela Berent and she's going to show some really different stuff. Not fiction, not nonfiction. It's a little flavor of both. It's going to be super fun if I can just get my technology to work. There we go. Hey, Angela, welcome. Thanks for coming. This is going to be so much fun. By the end of the month, I'm just not even going to be able to speak complete sentences anymore. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. This is going to be fun. Like I say, it's a little different tonight because it's not just another novel. This is a little something special. Before we get into the book, though, Angela, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and how you started on your writing journey?
Well, who I am. So I think I've always been an aspiring writer, but it took me a whole long time to figure out what exactly I wanted to start with. I like cycling back to what finally gave me the nudge, because I have, like lots of you, many story starts, and I just never carried forward with them. And I heard two great pieces of advice. It just happened to be the same really close period of time that write what's in your heart, and that we should all write our stories before we're 55. And I kind of sat there and, we were talking about age a minute ago, and I'm like, that is not so far away, 55. And hearing the write what's in your heart part, that just opened the floodgates for me. Like, okay, so if I don't have a big lofty goal, what do I just want to write for me? And so it kind of started as letters to people of what they meant to me and moments that had mattered. And I started gathering them up, and I had written in long form kind of these letters, and I started typing them, and I was chosen to be one of the people who had a critical reading at the Carytown Book Fest 4 years ago. And Bobby Fox from Ann Arbor, he was like, I think you have two different options here. Either you can write a journal or you should write your memoirs. And I got really excited about the journal. I'm like, I love to journal. I've always journaled. And so that finally everything fell together so that I created my journal. And I'm a teacher, and I was part of the National Writing Project in 2004, a long time ago now. But that was a big shift in my mindset as far as a teacher, because one of their great tenets is teacher as writer, not just giving assignments, but writing beside my kids, which
Sure.
I had sort of done, but now my students know I teach middle school English. There's never anything I ask them to do that I don't do with them, which is super fun because it's just, we have a great time. And
it's more practice for you.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
My son's orchestra maestro in school did that. He played violin along with his class, and they got so much enthusiasm watching him play, and the fact that they were doing it together, not that they were being dictated to. So I applaud you for that. I think it's an awesome way to reach your creative writing students.
Thank you. It was a big shift, and, I had to get more comfortable sharing. And, my 13 and 14-year-olds, is there any worse critic? They sit totally stone-faced and just like, no. So, right away if it's good or not.
Yeah, right.
When they're like, oh, what's she going to do next? Then I'm like, okay, maybe that's something.
Yeah. Pubescent children don't pull any punches.
Nope. Right out there. It's good.
Yeah. So tell us about the book that you're going to read from tonight.
So my journal, List Your Life. I take no credit for the artwork here. A wonderful graphic artist, Lisa Michelle Carpenter, helped me with this. I met her in a coffee shop, one of our storied places, right? And I
Right.
told her, I said, I have this journal and it's kind of falling together. And, what are we going to do? And she said, wait, I have an idea. And I had already collected a few things together. And she said, just give me a minute to think on this. I think I know what I would want this to look like. And she railed away on her computer for just a few minutes and spun it around. And she had envisioned similar to what I did. So
Awesome.
it mattered a lot to me that this journal be attractive. The paper matters
Mhm.
a lot to me, but the content is different from other journals because instead of just giving you prompts, like I do with my students, I write beside you in the journal so that any
That
page you
was the
look
thing
at.
that I loved about this book is that it wasn't just a journal. Here's an empty book, fill in the blanks. This
Yes.
is you walking through the process with us. And I was just really enamored with that. If you would please go ahead and read a little bit for us, and then we'll take questions and answers from the room.
Okay. So one of the prompts is gifts I treasure. There are about 25 prompts, and all of them are intended to be super accessible. And everything that I ask, my whole thing is that you write just 3 things. So there's not a big task. And like Diana said, the daunting page. So here are 3 gifts that I treasure. I also include a quote. It's embarrassingly plain how inadequate language is. And that's by Anthony Jor, All the Light We Cannot See. Number 1, as he proposed, John brought forth an antique-looking wooden box with a bronze snowflake design embedded in the top. I wholeheartedly answered yes, and he presented a slice of smooth agate that he'd fashioned into a key. The tiniest click revealed a velvety burgundy box encapsulating my sparkling engagement ring. Number 2. Before I left for California, family and friends presented me with a prescription bottle. Tall and murky orange with a childproof white cap, crammed full of messages and stories, jokes and wishes, slipped out when I opened the bottle. It traveled with me, and those little notes perfectly buoyed my sometimes lonely heart. And number 3. Grandma's classy silver clutch flawlessly accompanied my gorgeous navy blue gown. She entrusted it to me, and I was heartbroken when it was lost with our airline luggage. I've often wondered if someone dared use that bag again, noticing the sung perfume that I hope lingered on it forever. That's my list of 3 gifts.
These are just the coolest things that you stimulate within our imaginations, not just from a memoir point of view, but the questions or the topics that you pose are also fabulous for story development if we're writing fiction and we're trying to flesh out characters or situations. Yeah. As I was reading through your book, I was just really impressed. I went through and I found a couple of pages where I thought, but wait, I can use that in my novel.
Good.
So I think I think the book serves dual purpose. Mm-hmm. Could you find another topic and read 3 more for us, please?
Sure thing. So another one is places I've called home, because I think so many of our memories are attached to where we are. So places I've called home. Home is the nicest word there is, and that's Laura Ingalls Wilder. Number 1, Christine and I lucked into a brand new duplex in a great location for my first place away from home. A wonderful place to come home to. The back patio was well used that summer of Alanis Morissette. Lots of changes while there, each moving me closer to some of the dreams that I'd let myself start dreaming. Number 2. Our first home together on Geneva Street in Ventura had a backyard pergola, citrus trees, creeping jasmine, and 2 fantastic neighbors, Eddie and Brad. The funky little California place with walled mirrored bedrooms, mint toothpaste bathroom with a wall-mounted toilet tank, and gold-colored ceramic tile kitchen counters had lots to laugh at and lots to miss. Number 3. I still adore that West Side Ann Arbor rental and admire the dormers, the Cape Cod style, and the charming tree lot on a busy corner. John set up his first home office amid dreamy built-in bookcases, and we started our life back in Michigan.
Excellent. Well done. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Please, everybody, feel free to turn on your microphones. This is the time when we open up the room for questions and conversation. So does anyone have any questions or comments for Angela at this time? Go ahead, Luba.
I'm just going to gush. I love your cover. I love your concept and how inventive and novel it is. And I love the expressiveness of your writing.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
That was amazing. Just the Summer of Alanis Morissette. And I'm like, whoa, memories. So that was awesome.
Thanks.
Isn't it interesting how there's just yeah, I think it's interesting how it could be just a word or a short phrase that brings back this gush of memories. Mm-hmm. Are you finding that your students are responding this way to the writing that you pose for them?
Somewhat. The 3 concept is something that I use all the time. When I think back to when I started teaching 20 years ago, and I would ask for a list of 10 and it would take us like 3 weeks to write it. Yeah. You know, now when I ask for 3, it's very easy. And they often ask, can we just do some brainstorming? Give us some topics to write 3 about, because it goes in so many different directions and so many things that they wouldn't have maybe thought of for their writing. So it's very freeing. And like you said, the content, the character development and that sort of thing, it applies in a lot of different places. Just that rule of 3.
Absolutely. Anyone else have comments or questions for Angela?
It sounds like it would be really great for busting writer's block too, because sometimes we just kind of like need to prime the pump a little bit. And so I think that would be excellent for that.
Mm-hmm. I do use it myself, just so I don't, now my journal every day, because I'm so guilty too of, oh, it's too much. I don't have enough time to start. Oh, I don't know where to go. And now some nights I only write 3 things, like lasagna was horrible tonight or whatever, but it's just still 3 things. But when I look back, and now I've been doing that for a few years, it's enough that I can recall what was I doing and what mattered to me then. So
lasagna is never horrible.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I agree.
But lasagna always has that cheese in that. Well, actually, there's vegetable lasagna. Okay, you got
me. Yeah.
I think you would have a mind explosion. Every item behind me and over on this side are all tied to memories. So all I have to do is turn around and I can pull off my grandmother's, what she gave me when I was 5, or what my father gave me before he died. And each of these things are tied. So I would, as you were reading, I was, yeah, I do similar, but it's all tied to trinkets and things held in curios and a stack of swords and all of your books, different people and different things, so that we can remember. You have the journal part all together. So, how far is this autobiography?
I kind of set that aside and have just pursued the journal aspect. And, writing these short little pieces, it's super challenging to stop. I didn't go back once I reached that pivotal moment of, am I going to write the journal or will I write the memoirs? I don't know if I'll go back to that necessarily. This kind of turned out to what I wanted it to be, and I was really happy with it. And I rolled it into a second journal, and moving it into a couple of new creative directions. So I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
Well, I like your journal, and I know I have it here somewhere. I
Mm-hmm.
ran out for a second, and I have too many bookcases, so I couldn't find it as quickly as I wanted to.
Impossible.
True, but I have to add more so I can have books in all of them, more bookcases instead of just boxes.
Right.
But I've always been impressed with the idea, and I know a lot of people don't see that three things. But I don't know if you've ever read what I write daily, but it stacks up because now I have almost 1,900 posts from 300 to 1,000 words a day, and that's a lot of words over the past lots of years. So I applaud your approach, but more I applaud the way that you're inspiring other people to see past themselves, see those one or two or three or four little things that made a day different, hopefully made a day positive. We don't want bad lasagna. We want lasagna was amazing, and the wine made it even more flavorful. Ooh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lean on the positives.
Yes.
Anyone else have any questions or comments? Go ahead, Deborah.
Sorry, just making sure I'm unmuted. I end up talking when I'm muted.
I know, technology, I know.
So two things. The first is just your writing is absolutely beautiful. I mean, when I've written in a journal or anything like that, it does not sound anywhere near as beautiful. And I mean, like, even like, it just made me start, honestly, like Diana said, just thinking of ways to incorporate into a story, like the clutch and everything. I'm like, oh, that's so, like, I can just see it in my head. There's like a whole story there. You just have to flush it out and things like that. But also really love the idea because of your three things, because when you're confronted with a blank page, it can be overwhelming. And so many people say, hey, make a list of X amount of things or what, and that's overwhelming. And it's like, to break it down like that is just a fantastic idea. I mean, I really think you've hit on something there, and thank you.
Thanks, for sure. Yeah, it's fun to talk about it because, like Diana said, it's a different book, and I kind of go back and forth with if I pursue it as a book and a memoir or a journal or, a gift piece, because it depends on the shop. It really can fit in any of them. So but it's a lot of fun then, as we get to do things like this and you meet new people and who see it different ways and might have an affection for it.
Absolutely.
I think
Go ahead,
it's
Andrew.
something a little different. I think for all the people that are out there in TV land or watching this later, you should think of it as something like a book of lists or chicken soup for the soul, or something that gives you that extra boost to think about more than you were thinking about a few minutes ago, and use it every day to try to grow as a person, try to grow with others, and maybe see beyond the confines of yourself.
Absolutely. One of the things that I wanted to bring up, Angela, was as I was reading your book, I've been keeping a journal since I was about 13, and I've been journaling daily, and I've always been looking for what's the next best journal methodology, right? Well, for me, finally, at 56, I figured out, okay, it's just free form, just write what happened, just do a brain dump, right? But when I was in my early 20s, a friend said, make a list of 100 things that make life worth living. And that will become your gratitude journal, right? So every day you wrote 10 things. And then by the end of the month, you had, these lists upon lists, 30 lists of 10 a day. And what I was thinking as I was reading your book was, this would be a great way for people who keep gratitude journals in that list format to really investigate some of the things on the list. Take one of those things from the list of, 100 things that make life worth living. Like one of those things is my son's giggle. So I think it would be fun to explore 3 different perspectives of my son's giggle, or 3 different memories of my son's giggle. So I think it's a great way for people who do gratitude journaling with bullet lists to kind of explore that and jump in a little bit deeper. So I'm really grateful for this book because it gave me another way of looking at journaling.
Great. I love that, because I think a lot of us probably have different kinds of journals, but yeah, this would be a possible way to reinvent them, or a way to go back and revisit. That's good.
And again, as Kate was saying, it's a great way to jump out of writer's block. You're trying to figure out how a character is going to respond in a given situation. If you look at it from 3 different memories that character has, or 3 different perspectives that character might have, you're going to flesh out a whole bunch of stuff about that character you didn't know was in your head.
Yeah.
So I think it's a spectacular thing from a personal vantage point and also as a tool for writers. So I applaud you in really digging deep. And then again, your courage in putting yourself on the page was tremendous.
It's a little scary, but I'm really glad I did.
We are too.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions or comments for Angela? No?
No further questions, Your Honor. Reserve the right to recall the witness.
Well, I am going to call my next witness. Angela, you have another book.
I do. Yeah.
Can you read from the other book for us?
Sure. My other book is Trace Your Travels. And again, I owe the beauty to Lisa Michelle Carpenter, who we took her watercolors from Lister Life and kind of refashioned them to trace your travels. And we like the antique sort of thing, but it's again, lists of 3. Let's see. So again, topics to think about, and then a quote, and then my list of 3 right beside them. So I'll read you this one. It's called Quirky Lodging. We travel, some of us forever, to seek other places, other lives, other souls. And that's by N.A. Nin. Number 1. It's good to have thrill-seeking, adventurous friends. I was lucky to have one who found the Lost Trail Lodge, a remote gem in the mountains of Truckee, California. I hesitated that when she said we had to carry all the food and wine that we would need for our stay. Alas, we loaded up and hiked to a rustic yet fully appointed lodge nestled in the mountains. I always remember traversing snowy cliffs and finding out how fast I could move in snowshoes at the inkling of a bear. I was greatly relieved to get back to the safety of the in-room hot tub. Number 2. Surprising my mom at a mysterious northern Michigan resort home on her 60th birthday was tricky. A cousin who arrived first found enough cell signal to alert me to the fact that the mammoth dwelling somehow only had 1 shower for the 30 of us. Especially noteworthy was the catwalk around the upper half of the 2-story open living room, the only access to the many bedrooms upstairs. We all found great humor in the former life of the house, a brothel. And number 3, the Whaleback Inn in Ogunquit, Maine was the most enchanting place to rest and take in the charming seaside villages in either direction of the Maine coast. A mist permanently hung amid the ships and shops. The bust of a long-gone matriarch haunted Rachel and me in our B&B. I tried to convince myself of the silliness of those dreaded beady eyes. It seemed she glared all night long. At the earliest moment of dawn, we were out of there.
Very good. Well done.
Thank you.
I wonder what it was like to be in a brothel with only 1 bathroom. That's just
pretty awful.
You did have bowls of water in the room.
It was still.
That's where you cleaned yourself in between, not in a bathroom.
And Andrew, you know this because
I have
Research?
thousands and thousands of books in the other room, including yours.
Yeah, I don't care. It's still an icky thought. Yeah.
Because I watched Andy Warhol's Frankenstein. How's that? That goes with it too.
Yeah, it was slow to wash over us. We really were very dim about what made sense for the big house. It's called Bear Creek Lodge. It's outside of Grayling a ways, and it's magnificent if they would have another shower.
No way, Bear Creek Lodge?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I grew up in Grayling.
Did you? So
You
it's
said Bear
way,
Creek Lodge. I'm like, why does that sound so familiar?
Yeah.
to me? That was a brothel.
it what? Yes. Yeah, it is.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
I'm trying to,
Deborah.
we figured it out before we left. It was sort of one of those like, what's going on? And it's the place is exceptionally gorgeous. And for 30 of us, a snowstorm in February, it was, to get to the house. Another cousin had called, I think I'm stuck. And I'm like, I can't help you. I'm still trying to get there too. And so we all arrived and none of us left for the weekend. It was just great. But, all those bedrooms, we were, what is this?
See, what you didn't know now is that Deborah's great-grandmother's next-door neighbor's sister's friend worked there and knows all about it.
Good for her. It's a cool place.
Oh, wouldn't that be a story? Oh
Yes.
my god.
Wouldn't it
would
though?
I have
Oh,
I mean,
research.
somebody has to take care of
taken
all the
care of.
lumberjacks after they're sending things down the river so that it can go to Chicago to build new homes. It was
Oh my
essential
gosh.
services.
So everybody, this is why Andrew only sleeps 4 hours a night. Your brain just never stops. Oh my goodness. Any other questions or comments for Angela?
I'm afraid if there are, with the way this is going.
Really?
I just want to say thank you,
Overhead.
Angela, for being you.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Thank you for
appreciate
being
your
you and
work.
for your writing. Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you for instilling in young creative minds the possibilities. And that's a really cool thing that you bring this to your classroom. That's really incredible.
Yeah, it's fun. I have a lot of fun with my kids.
Yeah, it sounds like they have a lot of fun in your classroom. I mean, if I was in your classroom, I'd be having a good time. So
We'll see. I always tell them, I know you don't maybe love writing, but we can do something with it.
So just out of curiosity, have any of your past students come back to you and said, hey, do you remember when you taught us this thing? I still do that, or I have this memory of that in class. Does that ever happen to you?
Wow, that makes me think of two things. And one, I always tell my kids at the end of the year, and this year it's breaking my heart because they don't have an actual notebook. We're writing a digital writer's notebook for the first time ever. And it's like, it is hurting me in a million ways, but it's okay. In the past, I give them a writer's notebook on the first day of school and tell them it is shared real estate until the last day of school. And then it is my gift to them. But between the year, it's both of ours and we need to take very good care of it. And on the last day of school, I always tell them, take it home. Don't throw it, don't pretend you're going to do anything with it now. Throw it in the closet. And then when you pack up for college, it'll still be there. And I've had a couple of them come back to me and say, you were right. I actually did it. I wrote some funny stuff in 8th grade. And they usually say it's terrible. But I said, it doesn't matter. It's you. So that's pretty rewarding when I know that they've kept the writer's notebook, because by the end of the year, we fill up and often move on to the next one. And it's just, they're shocked whether they see themselves as writers or as writers or not. They're still just blown away that they have written 75 pages or, however many pages.
Right.
So that by itself is cool. But I do have one student who has self-published her own book too. So
that's awesome.
Like the coolest thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
She has an Halloween alphabet book.
That's great. How cool is it that you're touching lives this way? I think teachers are so underrated, and I applaud you for what you do and what you offer students and students' parents. I used to send my son's teachers gifts every year at Christmas because I can't do what they do.
Even an email is so nice. Just, any correspondence is really nice. just to hear from them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time tonight, Angela. I really appreciate it. We had a great time. This was fun, kind of looking at something a little different today. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Well, thanks. Thank you, everybody, for popping in. Appreciate it.
How
Thank
could we
you.
miss you?
Miss
Let
you
me see
all
if I
real
can.
life one day.
Let me see if I can do this technology thing again. Hey, there you are. And if you've forgotten, this is Angela Berent, and you can find links to her work on our Facebook page after we're finished here. You can find all kinds of great stuff going on with authors throughout the month with Pages Promotions Virtual Book Festival Autumn 2020. We are a production of Indie Reads TV, and we find our home on CNM TV in Troy, Michigan. Thank you so much, Angela. We had a great time tonight, and I'm gushing. Now I got to go grab my journal and get some stuff done.
Yay, success.
Thank you very, very much. Everybody have a wonderful night, and we'll see you all back here tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.